And I suggested 2 blocks and a strap. If you have something that's like a yoga strap, you can use that. So let's find a meditation pose of choice. So you can sit cross-legged or lying down with your legs extended, or you can have Supta Baddha Konasana and with your soles of your feet together. And just settle into your meditation posture. Take one deep inhale in into your belly, filling up completely, up through your chest, and then exhaling out all the air. And just focus in on your breaths. Anything that's happening today or tomorrow or yesterday, put that aside and just focus in on yourself. We'll start with a breath exercise. We'll start breathing in through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, and then exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold at the top, exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. You can continue on this breath cycle, or you can add additional breaths, or you can add an additional count with your exhale. Continue to focus in. We'll take a few more rounds in our seated meditation or lying meditation. We'll take one more inhale in, filling up completely, up through your chest, and then exhaling out all the air through nose or mouth. And then you can, if you're lying down, slowly make your way up to a seated position, cross-legged. And we'll ground into our sit bones, making sure our spine is long, shoulders pulled down. And we'll start with some shoulder rolls to the front for 1, 2, 3, and then we'll shoulder rolls to the back for 1, 2, 3, and then release. And then we'll do some neck rolls. So roll, you can do half circles or full circles, depending on how your neck feels. Start with any direction. And then we'll reverse the motion. And then back to center. And then from here, we'll inhale, sweep our arms up tall. We'll interlace our fingers and place the palms of our hands behind our head. And then we'll drop our chin to chest for a gentle neck stretch. You'll feel this in the back of your neck. Gentle pressure on the back of your head. And then inhale, release your hands, head back up. And we'll start with our seated flow series. So inhale, sweep your arms up tall. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, tall. And then exhale, we'll bring our hands behind us and interlace our fingers. And then on our inhale, we're going to lift our arms up, puff our chest up and out, and then drop our head for a little back bend. And then inhale, release our hands, rise up tall. Exhale, hinge at our hips, seated forward fold. We'll relax our neck. And then inhale, curl your spine up one vertebra at a time. Head comes last, and then shoulders pull back. So we'll find our way into our tabletop position. So find your way into your tabletop with your wrists stacked below your shoulders, knees directly under hips. You have a long spine from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And then from here, we'll inhale, drop our belly, head rises for cow pose. Exhale, spine curls up, head drops for cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. You can continue to move in this cat and cow flow, or you can move your spine in any way you would like. Finding what feels good for you. You can do your figure eights or lower into child's pose, scorpion up dog. Find what works for you. And then inhale back to center into our tabletop. So from our tabletop, we'll tuck our toes under, lift our hips up for first downward facing dog of practice. So just check in, make sure your hands are about shoulder distance apart and your feet are hip distance apart. And you have a nice bend in your knees as much as you need. And a long spine is the goal here, pressing into all 10 finger pads. You can start to pedal your heels like you're walking your dog. You can shake your head yes and no. Continuing to breathe. You can find your ujjayi breath, that warming breath where you're fogging up a mirror on your exhale. Take a couple more rounds of breath here. Take one more inhale in, and then exhale. We'll make our way back into downward facing dog. And then from here, we'll start to tiptoe our feet to the top of the mat into our ragdoll pose. So make sure your feet, let's take a wide-legged ragdoll. So let's walk our feet to the width of the mat and then grab opposite elbows, releasing our neck, keeping a nice bend in our knees. And let's sway front to back, side to side. Then on our next exhale, we'll release our hands and then walk our feet back to hip distance apart. And then on our inhale, we'll curl our spine up one vertebra at a time. Head comes last, shoulders, palms face forward. Okay, so we're in our mountain pose. So we're gonna start our sun salutation series in our little, so our sun salutation warm up. So inhale, sweep our arms up tall to high mountain pose. Exhale, hinge at our hips, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, palms on shins or thighs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up with a flat back. High mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then we'll do our sun salutation A. Inhale, high mountain pose. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet step back into our plank pose. So chicken on your plank, make sure your wrists are stacked below your shoulders and your feet are hip distance apart. You have a long line of energy from the crown of your head to tailbone and then tailbone to heels. Strong core. Remember, you can drop to your knees. And then on your next exhale, we'll start to shift front and back, moving with our breath on our toes. And then on our next exhale, elbows in tight, lower down, chaturanga, chest to mat, releasing our toes. And let's take a baby cobra. So our hands are directly under our shoulders. And then on our inhale, we'll peel our chest off the mat, gaze is forward, shoulders pulled down. Take a couple breaths here. And then on our next exhale, forehead to mat, toes tuck under, then rise up into downward facing dog in a way that works for you. That could be through tabletop or plank. Okay, from our downward facing dog, gaze between our hands, hop, step, or float, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, rise up. High mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. So we're going to start our flow sequence. So we're going to do, so we're going to start integrating chair pose into these flows. And we're going to be moving quite a bit. So on our inhale, we're going to sink our hips back, arms rise up into chair pose. So check in on your feet, make sure they're about hip distance apart, and the weight's in your heels. Shoulders pulled down, gaze is forward. You can sink a little bit lower if you can. And then on our next exhale, we're going to take a twist to the right. So our right arm sweeps back, left arm forward, gaze is to the right. Keep breathing. Remember that Ujjayi breath. Then inhale into chair pose. Exhale, twist to the left. So right arm forward, left arm back, gaze to the left. Inhale to chair pose. Exhale, hands through heart center, and then we're going to go into a little ball here. So our hands to the mat, and then our chest comes towards our legs. We'll release our forehead. Take a few breaths here. We're on our tippy toes here. And then on our next inhale, rise up into halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet step back. Chaturanga or downward facing dog. Inhale into your back bend of choice. So cobra, up dog, or baby cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, inhale, our right leg rises to three-legged dog. Right foot's flexed. You can stay here or bend your right knee and open up for a hip opener. You can roll your ankle one direction and then the opposite direction. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, right foot steps through between your hands, runner's lunge. You can grab your blocks here if you'd like. Place them underneath your hands. You can start to flow front to back, hip circles. Just what feels good to you to warm up your legs. And then inhale, take one more inhale in into exhale into runner's lunge. And then inhale, we'll rise up to our crescent warrior. So you want to make sure your hips are square, facing forward. Your right leg's about that 90-degree angle, and your left foot is pressed. The ball of the left foot is pressed into the mat. And then you can rise your arms up for your crescent. Shoulders drawn down. And then on our next exhale, we'll open up into warrior two. So our back foot is parallel to the back edge of the mat. Our hips are facing to the left. Our front leg still at that 90-degree angle. And then when you're ready, tee out your arms, strong arms, gaze over your right hand. And then on our next inhale, we'll reach forward, flip our front palm, sweep our right arm above our head for reverse warrior. So your left arm by your side are binded behind you. Our legs are still in the same as they are in warrior two. And then on our next exhale, tee out your arms and then take a side bend to the right for your extended side angle. So right arm inside of right inner thigh. And then your left arm is opening up. Left arm is extended tall. Then inhale, rise up, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Take your vinyasa or stay in downward facing dog or child's pose, yogi's choice. Keep moving with your inhales and exhales. And we'll all meet in our downward facing dog when we get there. Okay, from our downward facing dog, inhale, left foot rises, three-legged dog. Good place to stay, or you can open up and bend your left knee for that scorpion downward facing dog. Keeping that left foot flexed, you can roll your ankle one direction and then reverse. Inhale to three-legged dog. Exhale, left foot steps through between our hands, runner's lunge, grabbing the blocks if necessary. And then you can flow from your pyramid to your lunge, hip circles, what feels good to you. You can even drop that back knee if that feels good. Then on our next exhale, back into runner's lunge. And then inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Check in on your hips, make sure they're hip facing forward. Then sweep your arms up tall for your crescent lunge. Remembering our alignment in our front leg, about that 90-degree angle. And then on our next exhale, open up, warrior two, back foot parallel to the back edge of the mat. Our hips are facing to the right. Gaze over our left hand. And then on our next inhale, we'll reach forward, front palm flips, sweeping that left arm above our head, reverse warrior. So our right arm is by our side or binded behind us. And keeping the same position in our legs. And then on our next exhale, tee out your arms and then take that side bend to the left. Left arm, inner left thigh, opening up our right arm, gazing up. And then inhale back to warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, vinyasa or downward facing dog, yogi's choice. And then we'll meet in downward facing dog when we get there, and we'll take a few breaths. Remember, child's pose is always an option if you need a breather. Take one more inhale in, exhale out completely, gaze between our hands, step, hop, or float to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhale with a flat back, rise up tall, high mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. So we're going to add on to our sequence. Inhale to chair pose. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale to chair. Exhale, twist to the left. That breath to movement. Inhale to chair. Exhale, little ball. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet step back. Vinyasa or downward facing dog or child's pose. And we'll meet in our downward facing dog. Okay, from our downward facing dog, right leg lifts, three-legged dog. Exhale, right foot steps through, runner's lunge. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Exhale, open it up, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale to a T, and then extended side angle, that side bend to the right. Then inhale, we'll rise up into star pose. So we're gonna have our heels in, toes out. And then from here, we're gonna sink down into horse pose. So hands to heart center, hips sink down, tailbone tucked under. You can stay here static, or you can sway from side to side. Another nice option if you're static is to lift a heel at a time or both heels at once. This will really work your inner thighs. Just keep moving with your breath, or staying with your breath. And then inhale, rise up into star pose, parallel your feet. And then when you're ready, exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. You can take any variation of forward fold you like. If you're unable to fold the entire way, you can just take a halfway lift, or you can grab the back of the chair, and that's a good way to do a halfway lift. So you can either have your hands on the mat, walk your hands forward or back. Or you can do a ragdoll variation. That's kind of a nice variation too. And then on our inhale, we'll release back to center, right? Our hands underneath our head. And then on our exhale, we're gonna walk our hands towards our left foot and take a side lunge. So in our side lunge, you can be on the ball of your left foot, and then your right foot, your right toes are pointing up. And make sure your knee is facing up too. So you can keep your hands on blocks or on the mat, or you can bring your hands to heart center. And if you don't want to sink all the way down, you can just do this variation from from star pose, and just do gentle side lunges. And then exhale, release our hands, walk our hands to center, and then we'll walk our hands towards the right foot, take the lunge towards this way. So make sure your left leg, your left toes are pointing up. Grab your block if you need to keep your hands on it, or hands on mat, or hands to heart center. And then exhale, release. And then we'll walk our hands to the top of the mat. And then from here, we'll take our vinyasa on our exhale, or downward facing dog, yogi's choice. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. We got the left side to go. So we're going to inhale, left leg lifts, three-legged dog. Exhale, left foot steps through to our runner's lunge. Inhale, rise up to crescent. Exhale, open it up, warrior two. Inhale, reach forward, reverse, warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. So left arm, left inner thigh. Inhale, rise up to star. So heels in, toes out. Exhale, down, sink your hips down to horse pose. Hands to heart center. So you can stay here, or you can, move side to side, or lift a heel at a time. You can maybe choose something different than you did the other side. And then inhale, rise up to star, parallel out your feet, hinge at your hips, wide-legged forward fold. So you can take a different variation as you did on the other side, or do the same. And then we'll walk, then on our next inhale, we'll walk our hands back to center. And then on our exhale, we'll walk our hands towards our left foot for that side lunge, and making sure our left leg, our left toes are pointing up at the ceiling, and our knee is facing towards the ceiling, and we're facing the right side. You can keep your hands on a block or the mat, or bring your hands to heart center, keeping a long spine. And then exhale, release our hands, walk our hands towards the left foot, and then doing that side lunge with our right toes facing the ceiling, right knee facing the ceiling, hands on block or mat, or hands to heart center. And then exhale, release. And then we'll walk our hands to the top of the mat, to our lunge, and then exhale, vinyasa or downward facing dog. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Take a child's pose if you need to get a drink. Just catching our breath here. We'll take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. Gaze between your hands. Hop, step, or float, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale with a flat back, rise up, high mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. We got one more round to go, and we'll get to our balancing poses. So inhale to chair pose. Exhale, twist to the left. Right, sorry. Inhale to chair. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale to chair. Exhale, little ball. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet step back, vinyasa or downward facing dog. And we'll all meet in our downward facing dog. And then inhale, right leg lifts, three-legged dog. Exhale, right foot steps through, runner's lunge. Inhale to crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, star pose, heels in, toes out. Exhale, horse pose, hands to heart center, squat down. Inhale, rise up to star, parallel your feet. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Exhale, walk your hands towards your left foot, lunge. Inhale, back to center. And then exhale, side lunge to the other side. And then inhale back into runner's lunge. Exhale, vinyasa or downward facing dog. Doing that breath per movement. And we'll meet in our downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg rises, three-legged dog. Exhale, left foot steps through, runner's lunge. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, star pose, heels in, toes out. Exhale, squat down to horse pose, hands to heart center. Inhale, rise up to a star pose to parallel feet. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. And then on our next exhale, walk your hands towards your right foot, side lunge. Inhale to center. Exhale, side lunge towards the left foot. And then inhale back into runner's lunge. And then exhale, one last vinyasa or downward facing dog, yogi's choice. And then we'll meet in our downward facing dog. And then we'll release our knees into child's pose. So wide knee, you can do a wide knee child's pose or knees together. Yogi's choice, you can release your forehead to the mat or on a block, or use a block to support your hips. So if you're in that wide knee child's pose, make sure your big toes are touching. Just to slow down our breath here. Then we'll walk your hands off to the right for a Side stretch. Now walk our hands to the left. And then back to center. Okay, we'll make our way back into tabletop. We're gonna make our way back up to standing and do a couple balancing poses. So we're gonna tuck our toes under, lift our hips up to downward facing dog, and then you can hop, step, or float to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale with a flat back, rise up. High mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Okay, so I want to introduce dancer pose. There's a few different variations you can use. So I'm going to demo both. And if you have your yoga strap, you can grab it. This is a variation I like a lot, but it's not for everyone. So we're going to start off with our right foot as our balancing foot. And then we're going to create a loop in our strap. And then we will bend our left knee. Actually, what you'll do is you'll lift your left leg up and place the strap, the loop around your left foot. And then we'll bring your left foot back to the mat. And you want to have your strap in your left hand. And then you'll bend your left knee and your strap comes behind you. And then your right hand grabs the strap. So you want to make sure both knees are together and your left foot is flexed. And then you'll start kicking your left foot and you'll start hinging forward and then you start to extend your arms. So it's a back bend. This is option one. And then option two is without the prop. So from here, you're still on your balancing foot, so your right foot. Then you bend your left leg and grab the inside of your left foot with your hand, left hand. And if you have wall, that kind of helps you stay centered and balanced. So you want to make sure your hips are square. And then when you're ready, you'll start to kick that left foot into your left hand, and then you extend your right arm forward. So you can go as far as you'd like. The goal here is to keep your left knee to center. You don't want it opening up. So, okay, so those are your two options. So find the option that works for you with the strap or without the strap. So we're gonna start on our balancing foot's our right foot. So find the variation you'd like. And don't overdo it. And if you fall out, that's okay. You just get back up and try again. It's yoga practice. We're not being perfect here. This is a nice back bend. Take a couple more breaths. And then slowly back to center, and then release your left foot and release the strap if you use it. So we'll do the other side. So our left foot will be our balancing foot this time. So use your strap or not the strap, placing the loop of the strap around your left foot. Actually, no, I was on the wrong foot. So yeah, your balancing foot's your, yeah, I had it right, I think. Yeah, no. Yeah, so the loop's around your right foot. And you're balancing on your left foot. And then find the dancer pose variation you'd like. And if you just stay you don't like hinge forward, that's okay. If that's all you can do, that's fine. And if you want more, you just hinge forward and then kicking that right foot into your hand or your strap and extending your arm forward, or arms, depending if you're using the strap. And then slowly on your inhale, release back to center, releasing your strap if you used it, and we'll shake it out. Then we're going to find our way back to the mat. So from our mountain pose, we'll inhale, high mountain pose, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, feet step back, downward facing dog. And then inhale, release your knees to tabletop. Okay, from here, we're gonna do what's called lizard pose, which is a nice hip stretch. So from here, we'll start off in our tabletop, and then we'll step our right foot in between our hands. So we're in this low lunge variation. Your blocks are really nice for this pose, so keep them handy. And then from here, we'll walk our right foot off the side of the mat. So you're right on the edge of your mat. So your right foot's at about a 45-degree angle. This is a good place to stay if you want to keep your hands on the mat, or if you want more of a stretch, lower to your forearms to the mat or to your blocks. I'm going to use the blocks here. And you extend your back leg back, and then you release your neck. And you can feel that stretch in your hip. And you can open your right foot like a book for another variation. Just keep breathing. And then when you're ready, start to walk up to your hands. You can put your blocks aside for now. Start to walk your right foot to center, back into that lunge. And then from here, we're gonna do a half splits. And you walk your right foot forward, digging your heel into the mat. Your hands can be on blocks to support you, and if full splits is in your practice, you can go into those if you'd like. And then you'll start to, if you're in half split, start to hinge at your hips to take a forward fold. It's a nice hamstring stretch. And then inhale, rise back up, and then walk your right foot back to center into that runner's lunge. And then back into tabletop, putting our blocks aside for now. And then we'll step the left foot between our hands. And then our right leg's right behind us, straight behind us. And then when you're ready, start to walk your left foot off to the left. Your left foot's at about that 45-degree angle. I'm gonna step back a little bit, see if you can see me better on this side. And then from here, pressing into your palms is a good place to stay, or if you want more, lower to your forearms, to the mat, or to blocks. I really like the blocks in this pose. And then from here, you can start to open up that left foot like a book, releasing your neck, opening up this hip. And then inhale, walk up to your hands again. And then let's place the blocks to the side if you use them. Walking your left foot back to center, back into that low lunge. And then from here, we'll do half splits. So we'll start to walk our left foot forward and pressing our heel into the mat with our toes facing up. You can go into full splits if that's in your practice. And then on your exhale, start to hinge at your hips, releasing our neck, feeling a nice hamstring stretch on our left leg. And then inhale, rise back up, back to our low lunge, and then step back into your tabletop, and then moving the blocks aside. And then from here, let's take a seat with our feet flat on the mat, knees bent. So we're going to do a couple ab exercises, some boat pose variations. So from here, let's raise up into the boat pose of your choice. So you can lift your feet up at a 90-degree angle or extend your legs, arms by your side, palms up or above your head. And we're going to hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then to low boat. And then we're going to do alternating knees for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then slowly lower down to our backs. And let's hug our knees into chest, massaging the spine. And then from here, let's make our way to our belly. So we're gonna find a Sphinx pose. So I'm gonna do the side view here. So we'll lower down into the Sphinx pose. Make sure your arms are about shoulder distance apart. Your forearms are pressing into the mat and your fingers are wide. And then from here, we're gonna do like a shoulder stretch. This is a really nice stretch. So we're gonna take our left arm back of our right arm. So we're gonna start to walk it's like a crisscross shape. And then you start to walk your hands off to the side of the mat. You'll feel a nice stretch here. Once you feel the stretch in your shoulder, you just release your neck down and your forehead towards your arms. And then we'll inhale back into our Sphinx pose, and then we'll switch sides. So it's our right arm behind left arm. Start to walk our hands off the side of the mat. And then once you feel that nice stretch, you can release your neck, forehead towards your arms. And then inhale, rise up, back into Sphinx pose. And let's find a child's pose. Any variation you like. We're just going to release our lower back. And then inhale back up into tabletop. And then from here, we'll find our way to our backs again. So we'll be on our backs and knees bent, and our feet are flat on the mat. So we're gonna prepare for bridge pose. So make sure you remember your alignment, knee to ankle. And then from here, we'll start to lift our hips off the mat, curling our spine off the mat. Arms by our side. This is a good place to stay, or if you want more, you can start to tuck your shoulders under, interlacing your fingers underneath you. You want to make sure to keep a space between your chin and your chest, actively engaging your inner thighs. One more inhale in. Exhale out, release your hands, and then curl your spine one vertebra at a time to the mat. And you just walk your feet to the width of the mat. And then windshield wipering your knees from side to side. And then from here, we'll lift our feet up off the mat into our tabletop position with our shins. We'll T or cactus out our arms. And then on our exhale, drop our knees towards the right for a supine twist. You can take your right hand and press it on top of your left leg, or the side of your left leg. Gaze can be at the ceiling or to the right. I mean, to the left, I mean. And inhale back to center. Exhale, twist to the left. Gaze either up above or to the right. And then inhale back to center. Hug your knees into chest. And then from here, let's take this last minute to do any final finishing poses. If you want to learn shoulder stand, I can guide you into it if you've never done it before. So to get in the shoulder stand, make sure your knees are bent, feet flat on the floor, arms by your side. And then you press into your hands and lift your hips off the mat into plow pose, which your legs are hovering above your head. You want to make sure there's no weight in your neck. If this is uncomfortable, get out of this and just do the modified version within a waterfall pose or legs up the wall or imaginary wall. And then you want to start to walk your elbows in. You're creating a shelf for your hips. And then you lift your legs up tall. This is an inversion. It's not my favorite, to be honest with you. I like the modified version better. But you want to have it in your practice, you're more than welcome to do it at the end. I'll take a few more breaths in your pose. And then when you're ready, if you're in shoulder stand, slowly release one vertebra at a time. Bring your knees into chest, rocking from side to side, releasing your back. And then when you're ready, find your way into your final resting pose of choice, Shavasana. So you can do traditional Shavasana, Shavasana on your back, on your belly, or you can take a seated meditation and just start to settle in into your final meditation, your Shavasana, doing one last body scan from the crown of your head down through your neck, shoulders, arms, back, hips, legs, and feet. And today's meditation reading is from my Journey to the Heart book, and it's called It's Okay Not to Know. Sometimes we don't know what we want, what's next, or what we think our lives will look like down the road. That's okay. If an answer is I don't know, then say it. Say it clearly and be at peace with not knowing. Sometimes the reason we don't know is that what's coming is going to be very different from anything we've experienced before. Even if we knew, we couldn't relate to it because it's that new and that different. It's a surprise. Sometimes the reason we don't know is that would be too difficult, too confusing for us right now. It would take us out of the present moment, cause us to worry and fuss about what we could control or what we have to do to make it happen. Knowing would make us afraid, put us on overload, take us away from now. Sometimes our souls know, but it's just not time for our conscious minds to know yet. Sometimes knowing would take us out of the very experience we need to go through to discover the answer we're looking for. And sometimes the process of learning to trust the process of going through an experience and coming to trust that we will ultimately discover our own truth and is more important than knowing. The process of moving from what we don't know to what we are to learn is a process that can be trusted. It's how we grow and change. It's okay to not know. It's okay to let ourselves move into knowing. The lesson is trusting that we will know when it's time. So start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles, and then slowly transition to the right or left side into a fetal position. If you're seated, just stay seated. And then when you're ready, slowly rise up to a comfortable seat, cross-legged, taking your time. Then we'll do one last breath to close our practice. So we'll inhale, sweep our arms up tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of your weekend. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.